What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Salty Runback, here to be your weekly intake of North American Developmental League of Legends. We've got a crazy scene here right now. Hawk, unfortunately, could not make it to this very special episode 69, so he's going to be hanging out in that corner over there in his wizarding world of Harry Potter. But I brought some other special guests with us today because we have a very fun project here with the first annual Salty Runback Roster Mania Draft, and of course we got to bring some of the best personalities in the NACL space. We brought the entirety of the Salt Mine podcast and also Shibby. Guys, it is great to have you all here. How are you feeling?
And Shibby.
I love the
also
and also
Shibby.
Shibby. Yeah, that's
Also
I'm like,
I just
we've
found
been
my way in
staring
here.
at this screen for about 40 minutes, but I'm like just now realizing that it's our logos and the NACL logo, and then just Shibby.
yeah, it's just Shibby's face.
Perfect.
in
Actually.
the center. That's dope.
What I think is really fun about this time of the year is that it is the off season. We have gotten all of our LTA North rosters essentially locked in. We're starting to see some NACL news, specifically with one of the organizations, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But the rest of the teams still all hunting for players, still trying to sign players. And we all know the off season is where a lot of that roster shuffle happens. And so what we're going to do is try to predict every single move in the best way possible. And the best way we can do it is, of course, in a draft. So in this project, in this episode of Salty Runback, myself, Slayer, Gordo, TDS Quax, and Shibby have all become the general managers of an NACL team. Remember, there's only 7 that have been confirmed at this point, but we're all gonna take the role of 6 of them. And what we're gonna do is conduct a draft where we sign our players, complete our roster, do our offseason with a given budget based on how rich our organizations are, how much money that they have to spend. We're going to do a bit of a snake draft, and we'll get into some of the rules in a bit. Basically, any player is eligible, and the goal is to kind of create realistic rosters based on what the market currently looks like and where some of our organizations are at.
Realistic rosters.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Realistic's a strong word, but I'm down.
We'll do our best. Some of us, I'm sure. Some of us won't.
The real issue is that the orgs don't take turns in real life. If the real world was more fair, then this is what it would look like for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing a snakes draft?
No,
we're either.
We're taking turns. If it was actual GMing, everyone would be shouting over each other for the same player all at once.
Right, and then one team just locks up all 5 of their players before anyone else has any idea.
Yeah, like
You got one part of it.
half of us would have
You
to
got
stay
one part of
completely quiet for 2 people, and then once the 2 people shut up, the rest of them can start screaming at each other. That's probably how to roll.
You have the snake part right. Definitely a lot of snaking happens.
Yeah.
Different
know,
metaphorical representation of snake. Yeah.
Surely no player gets signed and then commits to another team, right? That never happens.
One guy just waits until the very end and screws over a different podcast that's doing this for OQs.
Watch every roster be confirmed when this episode comes out, because we were initially we were gonna have Hawk do Luminosity, and at the time there were only 2 players confirmed. Now their whole fucking thing is basically
yeah. So it actually worked out. It worked out that Hawk wasn't here. Let's get into this real quick as well. So what we're gonna do is assign each different team a budget, and then have each of the players cost a different amount of money based on their accomplishments from last year. So here's a quick graph demonstrating some of this here. Every tier 1 import is going to be worth $10. Every tier 2 import, which is like somebody who's played in an ERL or LCK Challengers last year, they're going to be worth $8. If you were in the LCS or the CBLOL last year, it'll be $6. If you were an NACL All-Pro at either the spring or the summer split, you'll be worth $4. NACL players will be worth $3. NACL Qualifier All-Pros will be worth $2, and then any other player kind of in the qualifiers, or ACL has kind of been going on. There are some players that played a lot in ACL, but didn't get the chance to play in the qualifiers very much. Those guys are going to be worth $1. And you can see here on the right the team budgets have Cincinnati Fear and Dragonsteel at 25, Supernova and Winthrop at 20, and we're going to have CCG and Blue Otter at $14. So you can see here very disproportionate amounts of money that each of us are going to be dealing with, which means that there are probably going to be some rosters at the end that are going to be more powerful than the others. But I think this is a fun way to make it seem a little bit more realistic in terms of what these power levels are going to look like from these teams this year. Any
good?
Any
It's
thoughts
important.
about any of this?
I will say we
go
did go like really far to debate whether Dragonsteel and Supernova who would be 20 and 25.
Yeah.
So like, you
Yeah.
know,
We
for anybody that's watching, it was 1A, 1B. It could have been the other way around if
We're
like
not-
another person. Yeah.
We're not trying to call your organization poor necessarily. This is just kind of, you know, estimations or you know, some sort of projections based off of what we've heard a little bit of what's going on. Of course, nothing's really been officially finalized with a lot of these rosters yet, but in general, this is some of our expectations, and it's also just a simulation, right? So we're not leaking anything necessarily.
Yeah.
At least I don't think
And
so.
technically speaking, this isn't even the highest earning org. Like, Luminosity was the biggest budget. They just simply announced every roster, but they would have been the top. So,
Yeah.
I think it's fair how it ended up turning out.
You know what's funny is we were gonna put Luminosity at $30,
30,
and now
yeah.
that they have 5x LCS players, that's exactly what
They
their
would be
budget
at
would have been.
$30.
Yeah.
It would have been exactly, yeah. Actually, that's so true. We would have had.
We're actually so good at this.
There's a world that Hawk actually
Yeah.
drafted the exact team that they'd be running with.
So,
Okay.
100%.
Before we get into the official pick selection, all of our draft order, as well as which teams that we are all assigned, we're all randomized. And so we're going to get into that order in a bit. The last thing that we want to clarify before we get started is that any import or player that has import status that would be coming to a team that is not Winthrop or Dragonsteel, they're going to cost an additional $3 because of the projected cost of visa issues and things like that coming in. Obviously, it would be a little bit easier for these colleges to, sign imports to their rosters. We've seen that happen time and time again, whereas other teams don't necessarily have the ability to do that all the time. So that's some of our reasoning behind that. So if you're an import, have import status, you're going to cost an additional $3. So there are definitely some players around here that the colleges will be benefited for having. Specifically some of the players that are already a part of some of these universities, as we'll get into a little bit in a second. But I think without further ado, we could get into the official pick order. It's going to be a snake draft once again, and each of us also, I don't know if we mentioned this actually, but we each get to protect up to 2 players from last summer's roster in order to keep some sort of continuity. So some people decided to keep 2 players, some people decided to keep 1 player, and some people decided to keep 0 players. I'm not going to spoil anything right now, but we're going to get right into this with the pick order. We'll start off with the first overall pick, which went to CCG Esports, who was randomly selected to me, Grapes. I promise this was not biased. We have the recording, actually, of all this. I don't know if we're going to stick any of it in here or anything, but just as
maybe.
proof, I did not rig the system. I got the cheapest team, but I did get the first overall pick.
Yeah.
Which
clean.
technically isn't that in real life as well, how it works for drafts. Like not the cheapest, but the weakest team usually gets the first pick. I think it is. How it
Yeah.
works.
NFL,
Yeah, the weakest
NFL.
team. Yeah, the weakest team from the last thing. And actually, I mean, this feels more like an NBA or an NHL draft because we used a randomizer, which would simulate closer to the lottery, and
Right.
lottery systems would have the weakest team have the best odds. So we're closer to that, I feel.
Yeah, and CCG was the only team out of all these guys to be in the promotion tournament last year. So theoretically, we have the hardest mountain to climb, and that's why with my budget of $14, I only protected 1 player, and that player was Kryra. I think that this guy is very good. He's going to be worth $3, so he'll take $3 off of my budget to start the draft. But I think compared to some of the other players, and also just especially the fact that he's a rookie, I really liked having him still on the team. And I think that all the other players, while I do think that they are all very solid, I think that the market exists where I can maybe save some money, shave a couple of dollars here and there to make my roster still very good and still competitive, but also maybe by costing a little bit less. Because theoretically right now, I actually wouldn't be able to keep all 5 of my players if I wanted to fully run it back, because they would be worth $15 and I only have 14. That was another part of the twist here, where if we're a lower budget team, I gotta maybe go dip into the qualifiers a little bit.
I mean, you can't keep your team if you're a lower budget team, even if you do really, really good, right? We have a rumored example of that. When that person comes on for that team, we'll talk about.
Yeah. So,
are we allowed to ask questions for Logic?
Of course,
for some
yes,
of these?
please.
So I was curious what the logic was for Cryer over Crimson, because I feel like Crimson for CCG is more of like been their like staple guy for longer. I feel like, so I was just curious.
Cryer's a stud, bro. Cryer's a stud.
I know, but I'm curious. I'd consider them similarly equal standings based off their performance. I don't know. Maybe it's different opinion.
I do think Crimson had a very good end of the season. I was actually up until about a couple minutes before we started, I was debating whether or not to protect Crimson or Cryra. I only wanted to protect one because I want to make sure that I have a little bit of budget flexibility. I'm hopeful that, if it ends up working out, like maybe he could be somebody that I could pick up again later. But I do think that Cryra has a little bit more value, especially because I have the first overall pick, which means I get the first decision of who I want to decide. And I have a little bit of, I don't want to spoil too much here before we get started. But my overall goals for this roster is to not get relegated, stay in the LTA, stay in the NACL, and also pick one or do my full branding about being like the number one fan of at least one of my players to be promoted to the LTA. So we're gonna pick one player, really build around him. Maybe a couple weeks into the season, we'll see who's playing the best, and really try to promote him and get him as much attention as possible in order to have them in the LTA by the end of next season.
Okay.
It's a solid strategy.
Solid goal.
Right?
I think it's a little.
Behind that.
My strategy can't be to win because I only got $14. That's probably not going to happen. So
Yeah. No, I think the
Never
branding
doubt.
around a specific player is super smart because
Yeah, I
that
think
also
it's really
attracts future talent. Like, oh, that guy promoted from CCG system, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the wild card thing. If anybody
yeah,
was around with wild card era.
definitely with Bradley, you're saying, right?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, right? How many players that organization got through to higher levels? I think that was a really good example.
We got that guy Arrow into the LCS.
Yeah, that NA prospect Arrow that nobody's heard of before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have thought about him, right?
Okay, let's move on to our second overall pick. It's going to go to Supernova, who the GM of is Shibby. So Shibby, you have $20. Explain some of your thought process going into this draft.
Yeah, so I'll just run through why I'm keeping Toasty and why I potentially wouldn't keep anybody else. Right, solid, very good roster. You could make the argument to keep all of these players if the ability was there. For the sake of kind of this roster GM thought experiment kind of thing, I did want to only focus on maybe protecting one, maybe two players at most. I think Toasty's a good young player to build around. I'm all about that. And I think that's what you should be trying to do in the NACL as just a fundamental brand. There were thoughts about maybe keeping Faisal, Diamond, Lens, Kenvi, but I think there are a plethora of players right now on the draft board, which is an amazing job that Greg did to create it. That I think I can, that I think I can kind of pick up some really good players. And considering I have a bigger budget, I feel like I should go for more, maybe slam dunk kind of players, a player that'll kind of put me over the edge. And that's what I think this roster, maybe the Supernova kind of lacks, right? It doesn't have that one player that is just head and shoulders above the rest of the competition. And I think there's an opportunity to pick one or two players like that within this kind of pseudo draft fantasy football-esque kind of thing. So yeah, I picked up Toasty, really good mid laner. He's also relatively cheap given the cost of everything right now. If we do this 1 or 2 years later, he might be an NACL All Pro for all we know. So yeah, that's my reasoning. Goals, top 3 in both spring and summer splits. I think that should be a given. I think my budget, the kind of organization I am, I think if I get anything less than top 3, it would be considered a failure. And I also, similar to Grapes, where he is branding around a singular player going to the LTA, I would more want to kind of make my brand around hey, make sure that Supernova is a step in the right direction towards LTA. That doesn't necessarily mean promoting directly through, but let's say you go Supernova into potentially a better NACL team that then promotes, or you get that guest slot team, maybe a team like Disguise would pick our players apart from Supernova. I think that's the best way. So similar branding, but it's not a direct promotion.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting. All of your other 4 players on your summer 2024 roster made an All-Pro team in the last 2 splits, so they all would have been more expensive than Toasty, and I think that's a very good value pickup for you.
Yeah,
100%.
I'm a big fan of. I would have done the exact same thing you did, Shibby, just in your place. I don't want to give you that credit because I love the idea, leaning on the branding idea we saw from Grapes, that you are branding the. If there's anybody that screams a Supernova player, it's going to be a guy like Toasty getting his first shot on Supernova, playing so well through Supernova. So branding Toasty as the Supernova guy is just a smart marketing approach.
That's
so
some
I like
fear disrespect, dude.
Yeah, he was on Fear in the spring.
Well, yeah, okay, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. He was much better on Supernova than I thought he would have been, is what I'm trying to say.
That's fair enough. All right, let's get into our third overall pick. It's going to be Winthrop University. That goes to Quax. Quax, you have $20 as well. And I think this is the funniest part of the whole video, is that you, out of all the players on the 2024 summer roster for Winthrop, you didn't protect the one player who's actually going to that school right now. So explain why you're going with Dark Wings and Aaron.
So I feel like Dark Wings has always kind of been a player that has really impressed me. So like personally, he was the number 1 player that I really wanted to pick up, and I debated just kind of going for him because we saw him on the Cyto Combine. He's currently at the FlyQuest, I believe, like headquarters or wherever they train, and participating in that. So like his growth has been pretty monumental in 2024, and I also feel like he is just a genuinely good player to have. Like in SLU, they would do like content stuff and make videos, and he was a funny guy, so I think he would be like a fun personality to have, as well as a good player to have, as well as I also just think keeping your mid laner right now is really valuable because of the kind of discourse around mid lane being, or where it kind of lines up compared to the other roles in terms of like where the talent actually is. Like how many NA mid laners are there actually that are super good? And I would want to prove that Dark Wings is one of those, so I want to keep him on my program. I also chose to keep Aaron because I feel like based on how I'm going to structure the rest of the team, like this guy can kind of fit whatever role you really want him to. This guy is made of water in terms of how he can actually play. He can play strong side, which he does on like the Pulse team that he's on for the ACL, or he can play more weak side and let someone like Winnie help Denethor out when they were in the NACL. So this guy is super flexible in his style, and I like that for a player like him. He's also fucking hilarious, so I keep him for the memes and just the synergy with Dark Wings that they were both on SLU with. And so my goals, though, would also be just to, like, these guys are relatively young, so I want to create a new generation of talent and also put a bit of a spin on said generational talent because, like you mentioned with the rules grapes, we have certain exceptions specifically with, like, import tax. So I would want this to be more broad scale. Like, if you want to continue your future in League and also get a scholarship, like, Winthrop should be your number 1 destination. And also just to give a little bit of life to, like, esports colleges. Something that I think is kind of lacking is, like, actual content. So I want that to be, I want it to basically be like a gravity well of new talent who say, okay, if I want to go to college, but I also want to play League, I should 100% go to Winthrop. They've got good content. They care about new talent. And overall, I would feel like that would be the best place for me. And then also just, yeah, again, open people's eyes to CWOL, basically make it so that they understand that there is a scene for college and that there is more than just having to go into Tier 2 or more than having to go into the LTA. Like, there are other ways to pipeline yourself through North America. And it's a lot more broad than I think people understand it to be.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. Right? I think Dark Wings, Aaron, solid players. Yeah, it is kind of crazy that like Ole Miss is the school that we think of when we talk about like imports and like getting work visas. I feel like Winthrop should be up there.
Yeah.
You're just lucky Hawk's not here, bro. He would have grilled you for not keeping Denethor.
I know,
more than likely.
And yeah, I mean, I considered keeping pretty much everyone on the summer 2024 roster. We also had a bit of a discussion as to like which one, because they've got a different CWOL team than they do an NACL
like, you're gonna have
team.
like 11 League of Legends players like in your
office, right? So technically we were talking about subs. I mean, fuck that. I already have subs. They're lining up to play the game. So there you go. I have an army of young players ready at a moment's notice.
Right.
This is true.
I mean, those guys technically don't have a college program to play for anymore because Rip Slew. So they going right to Winthrop.
Unjust, taken from us too soon, bro.
All right, let's go to pick number 4. That's going to be TDS with Cincinnati Fear. Now, TDS, you are one of the highest budgets in the entire space. However, 2 of your players got promoted into the LTA North last year, and you decided to protect nobody.
Yeah, sadly, and I mean this in the most calm and also thankful way, and also in the sense that I hope that they do great there, but I hope they didn't promote because I would have given them 100%. Like Exu and Winston were 2 of my picks to keep 100%. At the very least, Exu would have been the jungle that I would have kept over every other player because obviously he is a tier 1 jungler that was unluckily put in a tier 2 situation with Cincinnati Fear, and he performed greatly last year, or this year, technically, and I think he was the player that I would have kept. Apart from that, I feel like because of the way that Fear performed this year, I think the expectation has to be set up for them to be able to fight for the top 2 in promotion. So they have to be a team that can not only contest for that, but they have to consistently do that. I think after their performances, not only this year but recently, they've been since the start of the NACL. I think they've been one of the organizations that have performed to the highest level, and they have kept doing that with multiple different rosters. And I think they will do this, or I want to make them do it as well this time around and make them promote because I think they have everything to do it. That being said, with those 2 out, I want to look for more players because I think there's more potential for them to be able to accomplish that. And the other goal that I want to accomplish is to develop 1 rookie. I think that trying to develop multiple rookies would be much more difficult. I think trying to have the goal of at the very least 1 rookie that can get to T1 level by 2026 is a fair enough goal. And I think that I can get that rookie in this particular roster and make him be the next big star after, be it XU or a Blazelive that also played in the LTA North.
So you're gonna draft a rookie, is what we're hearing. That's your goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
so that means you'll have more to spend in other areas too.
Now here's the thing. I'm sure you're not going to. I'm pretty sure you're not going to expect the rookie that I'm going to be drafting. It's probably going to be 2, but it's going. But you're. I think you're not going to be expecting the one that I'm going to be drafting.
I'm excited. This guy's got $25.
Yeah. You've got several rounds in the chamber.
25 in a clean slate is very fun. The amount of possibilities will be very intriguing, knowing TDS as well.
Yeah,
the language I'm gonna use when TDS spends the rest of his money on imports.
He's spending it on ADD everywhere.
Yeah, you're lucky I'm not Luminosity. You're lucky I'm not Luminosity, Gordo.
Shibby, before we started this, before we spun and everything, Shibby was praying to God that he got Luminosity, just like get a full LCK team or something like that.
Dude, I would have taken. Dude, I was throwing out Odoamne on Fleek, bro. I would have fucking ran NACL, bro.
I want to specify here. He was mainly saying Odoamne. Like that was his go-to.
Over and over.
Odoamne to NACL.
Okay, let's go to pick 5. I think, unfortunately, Gordo, you have the worst spot here because I think like second to last pick is always a tough one in a snake. And you have tied for the lowest budget here. So, what are you thinking here?
Listen, it doesn't always work out in Blue Otter's favor.
This is very realistic.
That's why. I've been wondering about this hat for the whole time. By the way, thanks for the help there, Grapes. But we got the Otters, and I chose to protect Music and Rovex. One of those choices still feels very good. The Music choice, the fact that you can get this guy for $3. Absolutely massive. I think he definitely could have been in contention for being an all-pro jungler in the NACL, and some of the other all-pro junglers are now either going to be unavailable or going to come at a 3% or a $3 surcharge if you're not a collegiate team. So definitely want to be locking him down. Rovex, I think I got a little too deep in the weeds there. Wanted to protect Rovex because I thought surely Zyko and Diamond would both be protected, and then Winsome is going to LTA South, and Chime is going to law school. So I was thinking there's no way there's going to be any of the really highly competitive supports left available. I want to lock down Rovex rather than having to get in the mud and start fighting over like Poom and folks like that. I just wanted to lock down who is a solid top half support in the NACL, get him for my $3, assuming I would not be able to contend for some of the top supports in the league, and now I can focus in on the rest of my roles. So It didn't work out that way. It looks like Zyko and Diamond are going to be floating around out there, but it'd be cheating to change now. So I'm keeping Rovex, and I'm plenty happy with it.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't pick up Sammy or Levy.
Yeah, I was
That was
really
what I was
like,
gonna say.
I was actually like talking to myself or like debating in my head, like if I got Blue Otter, like between Levitate and Samikin, who would I keep? And I genuinely didn't know. Luckily, I don't have to answer that question. But I'm surprised about the Rovex decision.
No, I love both
with
those
you.
guys. I'm a big fan of both Levitate and Sammy Kid. For Levitate especially, I think your 80 carry cup runneth over in this league. I don't think you need to lock down a $3 80 carry based on what this pool is going to look like. I feel similarly about mid for Samikin. I think we'll see how the draft plays out, but I think if I'm going to ball out for a role, I would like it to be mid lane. So I'd like to go for an upgrade over current form Samikin if I can. If I end up not getting there, then this is going to have been a mistake retroactively, but I think I could do it.
And
Take risks, right?
Fair.
Sorry?
No, just go on.
To be clear, if you even if you drop one of your players and they end up being available in the draft, you can pick them up again as well.
Yes,
So
you can come back around to them.
that is always a possibility you have to consider. All right, we got our final pickup here, Slayer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So I guess I'm on Dragonsteel, Maryville. Gordo spoiled a little bit of my plans here.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was for your logic. But so I am not keeping Zyko. I'm protecting Zamudo and Yuji. I want to stress that I'm going to try and play this as realistic towards the college of Maryville as I can. And Zyko obviously is a graduate of Maryville, so I felt a little weird if I protected him. And so I leaned back towards the top side here, obviously, with how well Zamudo was, the finals MVP, and then how many times have you seen a tweet saying, why is Yuji not in the LTA? Yuji's visa issues are so BS. God, all that. So I'm bringing him back in, keeping the top side protected for Maryville here, and / Dragonsteel going forward into the NACL. Goals are going to be kind of similar, I would say. The first one at least towards what I thought and saw TDS's approach was with Fear, which is make the LTA promotion tournament, right? The budget I have, the support of my college that I have, and the pedigree of the two players on the all-pro level that I already brought in with Zamudo and Yuji, this team should be making a promotion tournament, should be in a fight for it, maybe even once again being back-to-back defending champs. But I think it's most important as well to really stress the second goal of creating this sort of new core and really embodying the Maryville identity, because Maryville is now becoming the top college to go to if you want to be not only a professional League of Legends player, but you want to go there to pursue a higher education, right? To make sure that you have yourself covered on bases in this wacky world that's known as esports, trying to chase a career. So it's really selling the Maryville brand alongside the Dragonsteel brand as much as I possibly can. And I think my approach to this draft coming up will reflect that once we get through what I hope my roster to be.
I want Slurky or Slurky.
What did you say?
Slurky, a Slayer Clerky.
Slayer Clerky combination.
Yeah, I don't know, but I want to see Clerky specifically like judge this specific like plays. That would be really cool because I mean maybe
Who's the GM for Winthrop again?
There's Shalodin helps out a little bit. I think.
Well, the literal
helps out as well.
Shalodin,
it's you from now on.
Oh, it's Shalodin. Oh, yeah, shit. If he... Okay, yeah. Maybe I'll see this.
Yeah.
The interesting thing in my spot is the tweet. I know we put it in the chat from Niles.
Yeah.
Was like,
we got to that's why we're recording quick.
We're on a timestamp. So I'm actually curious to see if I'm how much like I don't think obviously I'm not going to be like I'm going to give them their roster. I'm going to predict it. I'm just going to be happy if I get like one person outside of I think Zamudo that stays on this roster. If I get one of them, that'd be pretty cool.
This is where some of those realization or those realistic natures maybe kind of go away. I wouldn't be shocked at all if like Spyrex is also returning, but because of these rules, you're not allowed to protect all three. So
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've gone through all the teams, and now we're going to make our way over to the draft board, where right here we have a full list of kind of all the players
Look
that
at it.
could be
Can we applaud for
Glorious.
grapes
eligible.
really quickly? Everybody
Yeah.
applaud for
Yeah.
grapes. This is
You know-
awesome.
You know
Great
how
job,
like
Grapes.
girls they bring the charcuterie board in those. This is the equivalent, bro. This is the fucking draft. This brings a tear to my fucking eye right here.
Okay. I don't know if it's like
You know, girls.
Or what.
I think that was meant to be a
Shibby
compliment.
2024.
Grapes.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Like women
I know
get
what you
together, they eat charcuterie
Okay.
boards.
What else
and
do
wine.
women be doing, Shibby?
I
Keep
like
dig deeper.
Interesting, Shibby. Yeah, interesting.
Anyway,
Uh,
here's all the players that could be available. The couple of areas where we did not list every single eligible player were in the import section, where I got too lazy to try to scroll through all the leaks and stuff. So if you bring up somebody, as long as they are not either under the GCD for this upcoming season or have not been reported on by Sheep Esports or any other adjacent journalism site, you should be allowed to pick those guys up. We could do little fact checks to make sure later on.
Oh,
And then
I have Sheep Esports Twitter open in case
And the
breaking
other-
news happens.
The other area
Breaking
where
news at 11 Eastern.
the other areas where we don't have all the players are in the OQ section. There's just too many players, but these are just some of the guys that and guys and girls that I thought could be valuable to include. And if you again have another player in mind, you are more than welcome to select them. So without further ado, we're going to make our way to the draft board. Now we see here already we have the dollar values of everybody kind of updated, and I added the protected players down here below. Gordo, you only got $8 to work with here in these 3 picks. So.
I got a strat.
Okay.
Yeah, he's prepared. I'm
Very
sure of it.
So it again will be a snake draft, and then once we get to the point where some rosters have been fully fleshed out, we'll just go through the rest of the snake kind of as is. So TDS, I believe you'll have just that last round all to yourself. We also have the stipulation where, like, if you have a couple of extra bucks at the end, if you want to like pick up a sub, like, I'm not stopping you. I don't have the money to probably consider a sub anyway, so I'm not going to be doing that. But you are welcome to do so. Okay. Any questions from the crowd before we get started here with this expansion or with this roster mania draft?
Let's
I
get it.
am more excited for this than most of my fantasy football drafts. So
Yeah,
Low key. This was
Okay.
yeah, that's true.
So
Well, yes.
I just have one quick question actually, because I just realized something that is related to one of my picks. So for them to be in the GCD, they need to be under the team still currently, or if
Basically,
they are
yeah.
not announced
Yeah.
yet.
Like if
Because
someone
they-
signed like a 2-year deal and they're like still and like they're expected to run it back, but there hasn't been like a report
Okay.
or I don't know. Like I think it'll be like kind of a we'll be able to judge
Well,
it
case by
on a
case,
case by
yeah.
case.
Yeah,
But-
because I was gonna ask, did that count as well for T2 players if they are
So,
announced
like-
on the GC contract? Because for academy leagues, like that would count, right? Like they are technically
Right,
the
like
GCD.
you can't
Yeah.
sign Insanity because he's already been signed to Luminosity.
Yeah, no, but I mean like in other leagues. That
Yeah,
are
there's
T2.
like there are a lot of so like there's a lot of ERL guys that are, I would say, the people might have been looking at that are in the GCD is still free agents, but Sheep Esports has reported them as rumors. So at least for the ERL guys, like it's just really case by case, I would say.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask, because it's more like I have a guy that I want, but it's T2 a specific, and he may be in the GCD, so that's what I wanted to know if it could
We'll do a check once we get to your pick.
be.
Yeah.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough, fair
Decide
enough.
from there.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
go
that's
for
fair.
it. Take a swing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I actually got a pretty spicy one to start things off here.
Okay.
I had
Oh.
the 1-1. I knew that I would have the first pick in this draft. I get to select anybody in this pool that I want, and I'm gonna take a swing here, and I'm gonna do something maybe that would be considered a little bit financially irresponsible. But with my first overall pick, I'm taking Yusin in the top lane here. He's going to cost. He's going to cost a little extra. He's going to cost a little extra.
5.
But I think that this is worth it here. So I'm going to change this to $5. He's going to. I now have $6 to work with the rest of these picks.
Bugs.
And my branding. Remember, I said I'm going to pick one player to really promote, get them into the LTA. This guy like hit 2,000 LP in solo queue this season. He's like insane mechanically. I think one of the most insane top laners or players that I've seen at like the tier 3 level. This guy has to be in the LTA in 2026.
I mean, The only
Mock.
the only
You-
problem I can see is if you end up playing Polestar, then you might have an issue. I'm joking.
Oh,
Damn. Okay.
No, me and Raven. It's a joke. It's a playful joke. Me and Raven are.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
$5 though, bro.
I like
you know
it.
what?
I like it. You know
First
what?
thing Grapes said when we got to this screen was, "Oh, Gordo, you have 3 players at only $8."
Yeah,
now
Immediately
look,
swings
now look at where
$5.
he's found himself.
I'm in the trenches the rest of the draft, but I'm okay with
Bro,
it. I got
yeah.
my guy.
Hey, listen. I mean, he
What
doesn't
did
pick
you
again
pick?
he doesn't pick again forever, and it's a turn pick. So I mean, why not swing hard on the first pick? I don't hate it.
I respect it. I respect that.
Okay, Shibby, who are you going with? Pick number 2.
So my pick, I will preface this by saying I have a very specific philosophy around the game, and I think NACL also kind of mirrors that a little bit. I think the way to win NACL, at least the way to promote, is to have a dominant mid-jungle duo. I think we saw it this year. We saw it in the previous splits. So for me, and the way I talk about, you want a player that comes in and becomes arguably the best player in their role. So I'm gonna go real expensive because I have the money. I'm picking up Spica in my jungle role.
Okay.
yeah. All right.
Whoa,
I
Shibby
think-
not importing, guys. What's happening? Hold on.
Wow.
If I was LG, and I think that's the formula, right? I think XU and UG being 2 of the best players in the league kind of showed why, right? If Spica wasn't available for whatever reason, by the way, I'll throw it out there since I already got my jungler. For whatever reason, if Grapes ended up picking up Spica, I would have picked up Shaden as well.
Whoa.
I think having a good jungler, and in this case, Spica's a veteran. Whoever I put around him, whether it'll be like younger rookie players, maybe somebody that hasn't really had the chance to develop, I think Spica is the perfect kind of guy and a veteran jungle player that has played in the LCS level. This guy's going to be hungry to promote back in, so I think he's a really good pairing, especially with my mid laner who is like hitting his sophomore year, right? In theory.
I
Speaking
like
toasty,
it.
that's spicy.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's fun. It's fun.
Okay. If nobody else has anything to go with, we can move on to our next pick here with Quax. Quax, what do you got?
So, Grapes, fuck you, man. I was actually going to So I was actually going to yoink Yushin because the import rule doesn't apply to me, right? So I don't have to pay the extra
I'm being
fee.
irresponsible
So
for sure.
I literally would have stolen this guy. All of the points that Grapes put out, 100% agree with. It was a debate between either first picking him or first picking my jungle pick. Fuck.
I'm so sorry.
Quax got
Perfect.
curbed
That
at
was
number
perfect.
3 overall.
That was like he was going to be like he was like a player that I felt kind of embodied my entire philosophy, where like players don't necessarily get chances on regular teams, but like colleges can provide a
Not if
unique
you
opportunity.
pay $3 extra.
Not if you just ape out like $3. So wait,
All
what's
right,
your
so then-
contingency, Cax? What was your contingency?
So I'm not first picking my top laner if it's not Yushin. So I agree with Shibby's point that jungle is also super duper important. I would say, no bias here from the jungle player here, but most impactful role and competitive. I am going to go major big dick energy, and Shaloiden is probably going to look at this and click off the video the moment I say his name because it's not realistic whatsoever. But fucking give me Bo. Okay, this guy's
Oh,
my
yeah,
Okay.
I knew he was going to swing this. I
And
knew
we-
it.
I was
So
hoping
random, I
somebody
know.
would get him. I was hoping.
So that's-
somebody
I
that's
hope somebody
10
just clicks into the video right at this point and
And
is like,
sees
oh,
Bo to
all these
Winthrop.
We
tier
should
2,
make
tier
this
3
the
guys,
thumbnail.
they're
Like this
they're
should be the
talking
thumbnail.
about-
Bo's
So that's
image.
that's $10, right?
That's
Wait,
$10.
rosters.
hang on.
Yeah.
You gave me $17.
Yeah, because you protected.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
have
players.
You have
So then
Darklings and Aaron.
so then minus just 10 because I don't get the tax.
Yeah, because he doesn't
I
have
would have
tax.
7. I would have 7, right?
You
Yeah,
have
it's like
20 minus
mathematically
minus
speaking,
6
It's
minus
20.
10. Because these guys still cost you money here.
You're protecting 2 players. You still protect $6
You have
worth
to
of
pay for the
players.
players.
You
Yeah.
still have
You're
to pay for
thinking
the
you have
players that you
25,
have.
Quax. Quax, you're
Okay,
thinking you have
okay.
25.
I'm still keeping him.
You can live with this.
That's
Dude,
that's
a,
baller.
That's a big
baller.
dick pick. That's a.
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
a-
hey,
if you-
dude.
You can fill
Also,
this
yeah,
in.
to finish my point, I hope somebody just clicks in on this. It's like, oh, 2-2-2-3 guys. They're projecting the NACL rosters. It's like, import, Spica, import.
Yeah.
All right.
First of all,
you
that's
can't-
as
don't
realistic
say
as you
that,
can
'cause
get.
Bo is not Spica, bro. Okay,
Yeah.
get the fuck out. That's
And realistically, that's NACL. That's that's LCS. That's LTA. This is the reality. It's import Spica.
And I would even argue it's not even the craziest like out of realm possibility. Like it is okay. It is like in
It's
the
pretty
out
crazy,
of,
but
It's
yeah,
pretty
it's
crazy.
pretty.
it's
Well,
in the fifth
okay.
dimension, but like it's still like, hey, you never know, man. Like it could
I mean,
happen.
but like realistically, like if I got Yushin, I would have 2 Chinese players on my team, and I feel like people would get really mad at me then.
And
But
pretty much all your budget going on over there. So
not
like,
the Chinese.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Chinese would love you, bro.
Yeah, true. I will
I mean-
say though, imagine if Bo actually
does-
bumps out a collegiate, what is it called? A collegiate. I don't remember the name in
Tournament,
English.
the top
Sorry,
32,
like the
we get-
collegiate extra bonus. I don't remember the name. Sorry, but like imagine Bo bumps out of college just like that because he doesn't mesh well with the Winthrop team.
He does have Trickster, part of that organization,
Oh, true.
who did change his username to a Mandarin swear word for half the entire. So.
Quax is just trying to build
Close
LPL in his fucking Winthrop. Quax is just doing
He's building-
LPL in his.
He's building LPL in South. Wait, where's Winthrop? I forget. Is
South
Winthrop-
Carolina, yeah.
South Carolina, right? Yeah, South Carolina, the new destination for for the
Yeah,
imports.
I fuck with this. I fuck with this.
Yeah,
though.
we're
That's
going all
spicy
out
pick.
this first round. I'm down
Yeah.
with it. All right,
Yeah,
TDS,
let's do it.
you're up next. Who's your first round pick?
So, I don't think that that one of my players is going to be taken away as fast as possible, and I need to secure one of the roles that I think it's going to be really, really important. I agree with junglers, but I think this role is going to be crucial as well, depending on how you want to play. So I'm taking Psycho. As far as I know, he's not
Okay.
taken, right?
Good value.
I like it.
Yeah,
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 Psycho
that's
is
a good
available.
pick. That's a good
That's
Yeah,
a
pick.
I
value
don't
pick.
have supports. I need a really strong support. I'm glad you didn't protect it, and I think Psycho can play here with what I'm bringing here.
I
Good
respect
luck,
that
my
pick.
friend Zyko. Enjoy.
Yeah, sick player choice there.
That's the
I
first
respect
one
that.
where there's not a lot of controversy. That's just a solid
No.
pick.
No,
no,
it's just like,
I-
oh yeah, you
dude,
pick the best
yeah.
support in the league. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
support
graduated
is
to
weak.
Cincinnati Fair.
All right, we've gotten to Blue Otter now here, Gordo.
All right. I mean,
$8.
I was worried about being accused of being unrealistic here, but that's clearly not a problem.
Nope.
Also, just looking at me and Slayer and Grapes protecting our good, strong NACL junglers. Like, ooh, we need to have some top tier junglers in this league, and now Spica and Bo are on other teams. But
Get fucked. Get fucked.
I'll get fucked, I guess. But all right, I agree with Shibby though. A strong mid jungle duo is going to be real important in this league. I still think I got myself a real strong jungler at a real affordable price in music for less than a third of the price of Bo and for half the price of Spica. So with that in mind, I got to round out with a strong mid partner for my jungler. So I'm grabbing Spyrax left unprotected and going to
Yeah.
secure
I-
up a really strong mid laner for Blue Otter.
I was thinking if Spyrex gets left over, I thought you were going to take him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I need
I
him.
think that's
I
a solid
respect
move.
that.
I think Spyrax music. See, this is the thing.
That's
I
good.
think. Yeah, I think if you're in the camp of who benefited more from that mid jungle duel for Maryville, and I think Slayer obviously values UG more than Spyrax, which makes sense, right? But I think like Spyrax definitely can cut it in easily
Yeah.
in tier 1. Like he's really good pairing him with music, who's like a mad chemist jungler, right? I think that's a really good pairing. I love that.
Yeah, we're-
Technically, he played in tier 1, so like
For one
he
game,
knows his
yeah,
things.
true. He's got that
For a
experience.
whole game.
He knows his things over there.
A whole game.
Doesn't mean that he's worth $6 though, because
Yeah.
that was 2 years ago, not this past
Yes.
year.
Yes.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
So
I
there you
like
go.
that pick.
We got all of Dragonsteel either on an LTA team or drafted in the first round. So nice job, everyone.
Makes
We-
sense.
We did the right
Yeah.
thing here. All right,
Or
Slayer,
protected.
you got all your guys gone. You
Yep.
can't run it back with any of them by the time you have this wraparound. But you do have the wraparound, so I don't know what you want to do. If you want to take your two like in succession or whatever. But the floor's all
I'll let
yours.
you guys react one at a time. I think and give you time.
Yeah.
Time to react. Yeah. So I wanted to have some fun with this spot. Love Spyrax, but I wanted with the budget I had as the defending champs with the goals in mind. I wanted to really swing a bit for the fences here. I do want to say, like, looking across all the free agents, in like tier 1, like even some like tier 2 ERL guys that are pretty cracked over there. Like, I could have swung crazy, but I want to play a little bit towards like realism and somewhat NA bound. And while I do think Spyrex is a great player, I want to pluck a guy who I think was just in one of the most unfortunate scenarios for the team he was playing on. And I think he's a clear ad, especially knowing that I don't have to pay import tax. I'm going to grab Mask to duel up with Yuji and be an absolute tear.
Okay, that's
in the
an
mid-jungle
interesting one.
duo.
That's a good one. I like that.
I wasn't
actually.
expecting that one at all, honestly.
I thought you would have gone Roamer because you also don't
Ro-
have to pay the import.
Roamer was
Roamer-
my backup if Mask somehow win the first round.
Yeah.
So,
I think
he-
picking up an LCS player is a good move, regardless.
He is more
Yeah.
expensive than a roamer, so that is the risk that you're
$2.
taking here. Yeah.
Yeah, $2
Yeah.
more expensive, but I still have $11, which is more than. I have $11 after picking Mask, and that's what CCG started with. So that's kind of my approach to
It's
this
kind of funny
scenario.
watching all the rosters and knowing that I'm the only one above 20.
Yeah, you got a lot of cash to spend, TDS.
It's still
You can-
kinda-
You got
big
a lot
dollar,
of roles to fill.
That's true
That's
too.
true.
True.
I like
Yeah.
this though. Mask is good. I mean,
Yeah.
do the
I get behind
luminosity strat. I don't like a lot of people like just quick side. A lot of people like shit on luminosity for the players that picked up. I think it's a fine strat. 5 LCS players
Yeah.
will get you that guest slot, right? Like,
It'll get you in the conversation at the very least, which is what they're
Yeah.
trying to do. And on them to perform, but I think a good
Yeah.
formula overall. Speaking of Slayer, you got to
Yeah.
pick a bot lane. You got a lot of money still.
Yep, I got a lot of money. So I was in. I wanted to if there was almost a spot where I was like, in technicality, I could swing for another import guy that was coming from the CB lol, but I don't think I'm actually
Yes.
allowed to swing for Curry. So I was thinking about swinging for him here and
Yeah,
paying
you
even
can.
more money, but
That's
I
three-
cannot. That's
three
three
like
Korean
non-
imports. So
or
I'll take I'll
Mongolian
take
as
the I'll go on with Gordo's logic about not expecting some supports to not be protected. I'll snag Diamond here for $4 and round out a good support pool. I think 80 carry is wide open, and there's a lot of fun picks here that you can go with for the amount of money I have left. So I'm going to lock up Diamond because I think the other support options, like Gordo was talking about, you guys are going to have fun fighting over scraps. I'm gonna lock up a goated veteran, a guy who led his team. He was like the big-time leader of that team, almost like a pseudo coach there, playing the support role. So I'll take Diamond to round out my first to second picks.
Yeah, I think it makes me even more glad that I grabbed Psycho the more I think about it, because like I was panicking with no Winsome. I was really trying to think about who I wanted to take support. So the Psycho pick and the Diamond pick, I think the clear favorites for support 100%.
This is why I protected Rovex, guys.
Yeah.
I knew these guys are going to be gone real fast.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's now only Ole, Curry, and then some of the other CBLO players in the
Yeah.
$6 category, and then you just get to everyone in the NACL last split.
Yeah, and Curry will cost everybody but Quax $9. So
Yeah, so like
no.
I don't
And
even
Quax
have
can't have
$900.
Quax can have
Oh
$9.
yeah, so nobody else could buy Curry anymore except TDS if he really wants to swing $9 out of 21.
yeah,
See?
I have
Or
money.
Shibby with his entire budget on Curry.
Yeah, let me just
right,
right,
we-
pick up.
We've begun the second round here, and we're gonna go over to Gordo now, who also needs 2 more players.
I need 2 more players. I only have $4, so my ability to really swing in for the NACL level talent is become limited. So Blue Otter was a big successful project for bringing in players from Tier 3 into Tier 2 last year. You think Levitate, you think Sammykin, Music, and Rovex had been demoted down there until coming back up as well. So I think that's a fine thing to brand around and to give some of these top Tier 3 prospects a shot. I'm going to take the first step here and pick up, I think, who's real high on everybody's list to promote in the next year. I'm going to grab Sushi right here.
Great
Let's
pick.
go.
Man.
Actually,
That's a good
great
pickup.
pick.
That's a good
Yeah.
pickup.
Yeah.
Good pickup.
Actually a great one.
He was on my board as a budget guy. He's looked
Yeah.
so good. He's at the
High
he's at
value.
Saito right now as well. Like,
Yeah.
High value guy.
yeah.
High value guy. All right. I like that. Yeah, I mean, Gordo's just got some sound picks. Like, Gordo's picks, the least controversial I think we've had.
Yeah,
I'm picking
yeah.
a real team here, boys.
This is a real team. Except who knows if Spyrex is gonna.
yeah, Spyrex Blue Otter would be crazy if it actually happened.
However,
Yeah, I mean,
however, again, we
A
have
real
some
team.
other-
have
A
both.
realistic
thing going on.
team. A real
A
team.
real
I feel
team.
like I have a similar approach.
like
to
it.
that
I
too,
like it,
though.
honestly.
No, I
don't
think you've got some good parameters. Yeah, I think it's good. I think
Yeah.
The
it's
wild
all,
card that is Bo is hilarious.
It's all a simulation at the end of the day.
Yeah,
We're all-
Yeah,
Exactly.
we're having fun. We're having fun.
exactly.
I'm just throwing a massive curveball in there. Why not?
I like it. I like it. I like it. TDS,
I
what's
think it's a
your
good one. So
what's your pick?
I think this one, I don't think I'm going to get a lot of nays or a lot of no's on, but I do think that it's not going to be expected because this is not my unexpected pick, but I think probably wasn't expected to come with here, but I'll take another player that has had LCS experience for my mid lane because I think it's crucial to have this, and I don't think he's going to lose against anyone here. I'm taking Jensen.
Wow.
That is-
Yep,
Wow.
I have the money, and I've always said this in everywhere. Strong mid lane wins you tournaments, and I think Jensen is going to be the best mid laner in the NACL.
Holy, can you imagine a world where Jensen goes to Cincinnati Fear?
he
Pops
needs
up in
he needs this
Ohio.
type of roster to humble himself down to know that he needs to play again, but to understand that he's the best player. I make it happen, Jensen. I believe in you.
Hey, you're
Nah,
right.
he
I mean,
wouldn't
he's not on an LTA team right now, so he.
Yeah.
No, he's completely FA.
And I'm sure that if Fear sees my roster and they want to replicate it, Jensen would 100% be on board because this is an LTA winning, an NACL winning team and an
Yeah.
LTA bound one. I assure you.
That's the big thing. Like, if you pick an LCS player, obviously, like, the outside variables will be like, can you convince this player that the
Yeah.
rest of your pieces are LTA bound? Like, you have an actual shot at beating Disguised. And I think,
What is
shit,
Luminosity?
I think depending, yeah, or Luminosity, yeah, I think if you do it, I think Jensen believes he's better than Insanity, like, straight up. Like, he's got
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
thinks he's better than Sandy and Mask for sure.
And also, who's the disguised mid laner?
Abadage.
Abadage.
Yeah, so I think he probably believes that he's better than them. So I would assume that if he sees my strong roster, he would be backing me up as well.
No, sure.
I'm not sure about the money part, but I think everything else works.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to throw a bag at him, Lukey.
Oh,
He
yeah,
has to
he's
he has to lower
$6.
himself like 2 zeros, but I think it's doable.
$600, not $6. In reality.
Yeah, close it up, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, Quax, it is now your pick. You have $4 left with 2 players to go. You have to pick a top laner and a support.
So I thought this player was super duper impressive when he was in the NACL queues. I think he's been impressive all year. Really surprised nobody has picked him up, especially with the kind of consensus among us being that support pool does not run deep. Give me Mixture.
Oh, another good one.
Okay, good pick.
These are
Yep.
so Sushi and Mixture were definitely both on my board going into this as like people who.
So I get to fucking steal one away from you now. All right, we're even
Yeah.
now.
We're even.
But what hurts you most, losing Yushin or getting Mixer? What is
We're about to
I'm-
find out.
I'm still okay. I think I still got some guys on the board. So. Quax,
Yeah.
so you got $2 left to spend, which you can use either on a All-Pro NACL qualifier or on a $1 player, and then you can get a sub. So
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. That's I mean, that's a good team right there. Darkwings, Bow, Mixture,
we
Aaron,
are we are low key
Darwin's
doing a little bit
bow.
of the all Chinese speak. Like we could theoretically get there a little bit. Like this is the TSM 2021 strategy. Or
Oh
2022
And it
strategy.
worked
God,
massively.
don't even.
Yeah, that
Remind me.
was a really great way.
Yeah,
Okay,
love
Shibby.
that.
$11 to spend on 3 players. You got Toasty and Spica.
Yeah, I got Toasty Speaker. I'm gonna go the same route. I think support's super weak in NA. I think this guy's a high value add, and because I'm coming back around anyways in like a couple rounds, I want to grab this guy up. I'm 1000% super high on this guy. Give me fucking Cryogen, baby.
Great pick.
Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had some debates over how much this guy should cost going into.
I think he's 3. I think if
Agree.
FlyQuest sees that he is a legitimate sub, and that if he was standing behind FlyQuest Academy or like if he was on that like 6th man-esque place, I think he's got it. I think he fucking dominated inside OGG. I think he looked massively good. Has not lost a step, so I want to get him.
He
I think,
learned
he's,
from
I think he's the
Chime.
next good. Yeah. I mean, he stood behind Chime.
Yeah.
Like, that is OP, man.
Yeah, that experience is definitely like really valuable for somebody like him as well. So, definitely on board with this. So it's come down to me. I have a wraparound here as well, which means I can get a little bit spicy with just
Yeah,
like
you got
locking
some
down some of my
picks.
players here. Oh man, I'm really so Sushi was definitely somebody that I was looking at. Somebody like Mixture was as well.
Yeah.
I need a mid laner, an AD carry, and a support. And I can't get somebody like Shogo, who's despite being $2, I need to pay an extra 3, and that would send me out. And right now, what I'm just basically trying to do is decide like which role do I think is kind of deeper compared to the others that I could maybe grab an OQ player in. And I think right now my first pick at the end of the second round is going to be Samikin for $3 here.
Okay, that's a good one.
There we go.
That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good ad. That's a good ad.
I'm low key. I'm a little bit surprised he was still all the way here, but you know, he is worth $3. He's a rookie, things like that. I think that this is kind of like the OQ All-Star team right now from the spring split of 2024.
True.
And there were other mid laners in this. There are other mid laners in this NACL tier like Shochi, Bradley, Young,
Yeah.
even that I think are worth taking. But I'm down to invest in a little bit of our younger guys here.
I mean, that's a
Are we-
strong top side, if
Also-
I'm being completely honest with you. Like, Samikin Kryra Yushin is pretty fucking metal for the budget that you have, so I commend you, honestly.
True. That's
That-
true.
that-
That's
also-
realistic.
Yeah.
Are
It
we
is
not?
realistic.
Are we not calling Young unavailable? He's locked in for Dante's Esports, is he not?
Oh my god.
It's okay.
He's on an OQ team.
I feel like if an
That's true.
NACL team like said, "Hey, Young, you want to come play for?" Like maybe not, but like that my
Yeah.
thought
I don't.
process
OQ
is
contracts.
probably-
OQ contracts are flimsy as fuck, bro.
Yeah,
That shit
you
could be
could
written.
slither out of those.
Well,
with
I was gonna
ease.
say, so your theory is that none of these 7 teams are offering on Young? I don't know.
I mean, maybe
Could be,
not.
could
I mean,
be.
we
That's
can.
crazy.
I'll leave him available for now. But,
I will. Yeah. I will say.
So
yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, so that's it for our first 2 rounds, and I'm gonna just take a look at this overall rosters real quick. Is this
Looking
blocked
interesting.
out? So this is
Has-
what we're all at right now, and who we have left.
Yeah.
Alright.
So I will say this. I think that Samikin probably wouldn't have gone so far in if like we restricted ourselves to like maybe no LCS players, right?
Yeah.
But I think for the thought experiment, I love that idea. I love that as a GM you can get as crazy as you want. But yeah, I think right now, Grapes, I think your team for CCG is like pretty realistic. I think out of everyone
Yeah.
that I've seen, I think it's the most realistic. If you think of like where this player would go based off of money, based off like all that kind of stuff, opportunity. Like it's tough sell for like Spyrax to Blue Otter, obviously, and stuff like that, because like I doubt Dragonsteel would let everybody go. I think Grapes unironically has like the closest team I would see in NACL right now.
Agree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I
So
can also get behind that.
But where's
so
the fun in that?
that? Yeah, valid.
What's the fun in
I-
that?
Well, okay, well, hang on.
I
He's
don't
not
have the
even done.
money-
He
I don't
could
have
go
the
for
money
like
to
a
be creative.
You could go for like a bot lane that consists of like Luger and like Ole or something like that.
No, he doesn't have.
Nah,
he doesn't
no,
have
no,
$14.
no,
Well,
I
you don't have that. You don't have that much money, but like you could go crazy with the bot lane, something that completely is just off the rails.
Yeah, there's
That's
some spicy stuff still out there.
Hey, what are you going with your pick 3, by the
So
way?
so real quick, as we
Yeah,
get into
true.
the end of this here, interesting things to note is that I am the only one who still needs to pick up support. TDS is the only one who needs a jungler right now. So in terms of prioritizing your picks, maybe that's something to consider. Top lane is still wide open. There's still 4 of you guys that need a top laner. So if I were you, and also 4 people who need a bot laner. So those probably are higher priority as we wrap things up here. So I got $3 to spend on my bot lane here. I definitely indexed myself pretty heavily on the top side. One thing that I don't have right now is a ton of experience. And in the $1 to $2 category, there's not a ton of people that really can say that they have that. However, there is at least one person that I think is at least kind
I
of
know
in
who
that
you got.
route to pick up. So I'm gonna grab Lynx for
Yeah.
$2
Ah.
here.
I think that's a good one.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one. I thought you were leaning Rhino because he has
I was thinking
that.
of Rhino as well.
Yeah.
However, Lynx and Samikin have some synergy from Blue Water in the
I respect
spring.
that.
we're still running with the the all stars of NACL Q's 2024 spring. So that's where we're at right now, and I only have $1 to spend on my support, so I'm gonna have to do some digging
Okay.
again.
You got some gems at one. There's
There's
one person.
there's
There's one person I'm
yeah.
looking at. I think you should pick him up. I'll see when we get all the way back around. I think
Yeah.
that guy is the
I
next
see him.
next good support.
I think I know you're thinking about it as well. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. It's my turn.
It is your
so
turn,
I have my
Shibby.
support. You
still
mentioned
got
I don't
some
have
money.
a top. Yeah, I got some Skrilla left.
Yeah, technically.
I am not gonna spend money on top laner. I'm sorry, guys. As jaded as I am as a jungler, I can't. Top lane's irrelevant. Like, it doesn't matter the kind
It's
of top
okay.
laner you have.
Like-
Man.
Damn.
It's done. So there are two options, and I think for me, I would like to err on the more realistic side. Like, I genuinely can see a position where, like, an LCS player, maybe not Spica, would join my team. And I wanted to go this player, but instead I will go something a little bit more realistic. My original choice was going to be Meech for my AD carry role, which would have left me with, I think, $2 for my top laner. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to go Meech because I don't think that's like really realistic in my opinion. So instead, I'm actually surprised this guy is still up. I'm going to go Sajed. I think picking him up
Yeah, let's go.
Good
from
pick.
the FlyQuest, like, if Sajed is half the player Masu is, like, I'm set. You know what I mean? Like,
Great
the
pick.
AD carry, fly, developmental. Like, I'm all in. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, man.
So with your budget, you could have brought back Lens. With the
I could have.
$4.
I could have. And just to preface this for anyone on Supernova that does watch or is watching, I don't think the players that I left out are bad by any means. But for the experiment, I wanted to try to like pick up new players as well for like the, So I think Sajed, I think he slightly ekes out Lens, like barely, just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with
You
it.
got that FlyQuest
I'm
synergy
with
as
it.
well in the bot lane. So that would be
Exactly.
good.
That was a big thing too.
Yeah.
I picked up Cryo, and I was hoping Sajed wouldn't go. And when you picked up Lynx, I'm like, let's go. I'm taking that. I've got
Okay.
3 FlyQuest players on my team, by the way.
They are that good, developing players, I guess.
All right, at one point, Spica was a former FlyQuest player.
Sure.
All right, so that leaves you with $4 left to spend on your top lane. We'll get into that in a little bit. But now, Quax, you have $2 left on your top laner. Who's it going to be?
So this is a little bit tough because, like, on one hand, I really wanted to index into somebody like younger, and I wanted to make sure. But like, part of the reason why I kept who I did is because they are on the younger side, right? And Mixture is also, I believe Mixture is on the younger side as well, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
If not age-wise, career-wise, definitely. So this one was a little bit tough because I actually do think that there are some steals at $1. Like, I think Hoarder could be a really cool thought experiment if he got a ton of attention. Like, he had a really good year. I think Lawrence is super consistent, and he's also really good at $1. But the player that I feel like is the most consistent for a team that will probably not play toward him, he's used to not being played toward, is definitely Stray. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
go.
it's a good
Okay.
one.
I'm
That's
gonna
a good
grab
pick.
him. You know, I have a ton of firepower on. I have a ton of firepower elsewhere. This guy, I believe, is also an import, and I
Yep.
cheat. I
Yep.
cheat that rule because I'm a university. So yeah, I mean, I think that like he's used to having his bot lane constantly get the attention because he plays with fucking Shogo. So and I would imagine a roster like this probably going to be centered more toward, I don't know, the LPL, LEC, now potentially NACL jungler, Bo, as well as like Darkwings and Aaron, who I think are basically the center of this thought experiment, like wanting to prop up the next generation. So I think Stray is a really good supporting piece for players like this, and that's mostly why I pick him. I think he's super consistent, and I think overall he can just be good by himself for the most part.
If
Yeah,
you
I like Stray.
missed opportunity to go Tony Top and really go in on the LPL.
I forgot
Yeah.
Tony Top was technically available.
All right, well, that's your full team. I was waiting for the Ole Miss poaching to begin, and so I'm glad that we've gotten that.
I am so shocked none of y'all have had Shogo yet. It kind of is crazy.
I would have taken Stray, but he's an import. I would have taken Stray or Shogo, but they're imports.
True.
Like, I just don't have the money.
Yeah, that was like my thought experiment too. Was like for a moment I thought like, okay, what if instead I kept Denethor and picked someone like Fatikan or Shogo, because those guys are steals. Like Fatikan especially being $1. If you've seen this guy play, he's worth more than that shit. But ultimately I decided like these are the players that are in the program. These are the younger players, and I think it's probably better to keep them. So there was definitely a lot of thought going into it. I really would have liked to have Yushin a part of this, but who fucking cares, right? CBA, throw it out the window.
Yushin would have slapped. Yushin Shogo would have slapped so fucking hard.
It's just like the all gotten fucked over by Riot team.
And I got fucked over by you. Right? Didn't fuck me, you did.
That is true. That is true. I paid my $5.
So here's the spicy. I think probably the maybe not the spiciest one, but certainly one that I don't think anyone was expecting. And this kind of makes or breaks what my budget will look like if it's passable or not. And this is what I was asking the question.
All right,
exactly.
I got Google.
Because
let me hear it.
I want to take the quote-unquote best tier 2 jungler in NA Latin America. I want Tattoo. But I don't know if it counts.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, like, quote-unquote, he did actually won the Americas. So he is technically the quote-unquote number 1 jungler. But I don't know if he counts because he is tier 2, but he is technically on the contract for the Academy of Pain. But I think that he should be eligible as well. So that's why I mean that it kind of makes or breaks my plan here.
I will say, so that's the thing. I will say this.
Because I do wanted to mention, sorry, also, like, Carioca is technically on here, and Carioca is Spain's main jungler. So if he is counting in here, I think Tattoo should count.
So, it does say that earlier on in the year that they updated Tattoo's contract to expire on the November of 2025.
Okay,
so
next year, yeah.
They did it. It wasn't February though, which I think must be like kind of when the
Tattoo is rumored for Furia.
Oh wait, he's rumored.
And LTA South.
Oh
no, they screwed my whole plan.
No.
I like the swing though. That would
have been a slick pickup. That would have been such a slick
pickup.
I think anyone from Pain Gaming Academy, by the way, would have been like a pretty slick pickup.
Yeah, but I was by the way with the Elder jungler, because I do think jungler is quite important, and I think Tattoo would have been such a great addition here. And he also is not that expensive, because technically by
he would have been $6 for you.
$6 with the addition of the tax. So God damn it, rumors. That really screws me over though.
Damn you, sheep!
The Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Damn it. Cincinnati Fears draft 2 picks in.
Jensen Zyko is still crazy though. That's still really good.
You still got a lot of money to work with TDS.
Yeah, you still got dough.
Like, the problem is that, like I mentioned, like, that changes up so much, because now the jungler needs to be a little bit higher priority than what I wanted in the other positions. So, like,
Tarzan is still available.
Is he?
I don't know. I
don't know.
I see a couple jungle angles.
So I have 2 options now. Thinking about it.
Nah, honestly, it probably would have been crazier if I went for Tarzan than Bo, but I rest my case.
Tarzan's not on Weibo. Tarzan's not on Weibo anymore.
No, I know, but like I feel like if I picked Tarzan, people would have thought people already think I'm probably a joke because I picked a fucking Bo.
So I have 2 options
right?
now.
Yeah.
What
do you got
now? I'm thinking. So one is a little bit expensive though, because he is technically another import. So I can take a swing here and think he can play around with it. I think I'm taking Shaden. I was thinking Kisei, the other Civil jungler, because I do think Kisei is quite good as well. But I think Shaden can fill his role very well here. And I think jungler-wise, he's one of the better one remaining. And I think he makes as well with Jensen.
I think he's an LCS level jungler.
I do too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have gone him or Armea personally in your spot. So
Yeah.
Yeah, or Mayo's still hanging around out there.
yeah.
Yeah, but like Shaden is cost efficient. I think also like
I
$4
think so
for
as
him. I think
well.
it's good.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a good value.
I
I
respect
keep
that
forgetting
pick.
you didn't protect anybody. So
I-
yeah, that's,
Yep.
I think Shaden is good, but like I feel like people slightly overrate him as a player. Like that's personally my opinion. I think the best split that he ever had was the one where Quad was his mid laner, and I can say this because I'm subscribed to him on Twitch, so I pay his fucking electricity. He can't get mad at me.
Okay.
Like I pay for his groceries.
I'm clipping and shipping it, bro. That Asilla
But-
clip fucking cracked me
Yeah,
up. By
Enjoy
the
the band, buddy.
Like I think Shaden is really, really good, but I do think that a lot of people think he's like an instant pass, where I don't necessarily think he is. Like I think he would be solid.
For NACL, 100%. And honestly, this is one of the moves that I could totally see happening this offseason. Like,
And I
Yes.
think particularly for me also what sells me on Shaden is that one of the best things he needs to have is a mid laner that he can 100% have be consistently good. And I think Jensen will build that. So I think they can like he doesn't need to have a carry mid laner. He just needs to have a mid laner that will play anything.
doesn't
and
lose.
Yeah, exactly. And he can be aggressive as fuck and win you games through that. So I think this duo will work out greatly. And one last thing, fuck you Shib, I want a tattoo.
Tatu would have been a good one. Yeah.
That would have been a good pick. No, that would have been a slick pick up.
Damn those
Uh,
Pokemons.
All right.
That was
Gordo.
also my Brazilian fan base.
I'm
by the
really
way.
surprised
I just
now
love
that all the-
Brazilian fans.
I am quite surprised now that all the junglers are gone. Some of the ones that weren't picked up, like in particular, I thought 110 fucking % somebody would have maybe tried to lock Yukino.
Yukino
But-
was on my list as
I
well.
was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
too.
He was
Like-
so when I was thinking about who to protect, I was looking at the $3 junglers. I think Yukino is maybe the one person that I would take over Kryra at this point, but because I wasn't sure if who was going to take him or something or things like that, I decided to just stick with Kryra.
Nobody
Yeah, I
predicts the
definitely
speak a
think-
bow rotation.
Yeah, exactly.
I was ready for that one.
All right,
Speak
speak
of
is
bows.
realistic. Hey, Bo might come, bro. Bo might come.
Dude, Bo went from
There would be
China.
two bows at Winthrop.
Yeah.
There would be two bows at Winthrop.
Technically, we're
Like,
closer to
It would be
Bo to
Bo,
double
Bo, Bo.
Yo, Shibby.
That is actually a great call.
That's-
Great
that's
call
a
great call on
throwback.
that one. Yeah.
Respect
Can I just
you
get a
on
clip
that.
of Shibby going bo 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 bo?
That would have been sick.
All right, Gordo,
All right.
you got $2 to spend on your top laner. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the fact that I'm down with only two, there's so many good top laners left, and I can't afford any of them. I can't re-sign Quacker. Some of these names that are still out there too. I mean, Faisal's still out there. He's at all pro price, which I think is hurting him a little bit. Philip is up there. He should probably be at all pro price, but didn't get it. Jenkins is out there. He should also probably be all pro price. The fact that Jenkins didn't
pushing
get
the
an all
agendas.
pro.
There's
top
only
lane.
three spots.
I know.
spots.
I
pushing
mean,
agen-
the
we're
fact that
pushing Gordo
Jenkins wasn't
agendas
up
out here.
there. Who else was it in 2024 summer?
30.
Summer, it was Faisal, Zamudo, and Surdy.
Oh, Surdy. No
Yeah,
shit.
Surdy's
Alright.
just
The other LTA.
preoccupied.
that's fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
Low-key,
Yeah, he's
it
a
should
little
have
bit
been
busy.
Low-key, it should have been Jenkins over Faisal, but that's okay. Jenkins is a monster, but I can't get him either. I got to go down into tier 3 a little bit here. I kicked around the idea of Hoarder a little bit. I feel like he's a little inconsistent, but could have gone really well with music as kind of a Quacker replacement. Decided not on that. Thought about Dr. Calculus, who had a crazy kind of debut for tier 3. Very close to picking him as well, but I don't want to bias myself towards recency too much. Instead, I want to take a page out of what we did with Levitate last year, right? Where we brought in a guy who had constantly been on the cusp of tier 2 and just not quite making it for one reason or another. This guy's in the promo tournament every year. I'm going to go with Porsche.
Okay.
It's a good
Lock him
pickup.
up. Give him his shot finally. He's a cheat code to get into the promotion tournament and just hasn't quite been able to make it yet.
Well, you don't want to be in the promotion tournament.
Yeah, wouldn't that mean
I
that
don't
you're
think
going
that's
to
a
the
bad
promotion
thing, right?
tournament?
I
this time?
meant when he's in tier 3, he's a cheat code to get into the promotion tournament. The same way that Levitate was for so long, and just hasn't quite been able to get a team over the finish line yet. So he's going to make the skip the same way Levitate did. And now let's see how he's going to be able to do. He's reuniting with Sushi here. And
Yep.
that's going to round out, I think, a pretty solid squad here, all set up to play around bot side, set up Sushi to hyper carry. We got Music consistently holding it down alongside Spyrax in the mid jungle, and we're good to go, baby.
It's a very realistic.
I like it.
Maybe minus the Spyrax, but like I could totally see this roster happening.
I can see this roster.
Portion-
I mean,
Here's the
solid
thing.
top laner.
Here's the curveball I want to throw. I think the benchmark should be: would this roster beat current Ole Miss?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Well,
were-
is
I think it does.
Ole-
I think it does. I think it does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it
I
Ole
think it
Miss
does.
without Stray?
Yeah.
Now that he's gone.
Spyrax music, I think. I will say. Well, okay. I took away Stray, so fuck you, Colmer.
Yeah, I'm clipping
Matt,
that. I'm clipping that.
Nah, you
Go
already
wo-
know he's watching.
Go,
this right
go
now.
woke or go broke, buddy. But for the most part, I actually think the jungle mid duo of Music and Spyrax is pretty metal. I actually really like that. So I do think that
It's really
that
fun.
is probably the main thing I could see this team flexing, and probably what would put them over the finish line compared to Ole Miss, especially because I took their top laner. You know.
Also, second
Get
thing
to
I want
find
to
him,
add
buddy.
as well. I want to add second thing. Let's say that Ole Miss replaces Stray with Venator, just to outsell in it.
You know
just
what?
to
Go
add that.
ahead. Trade offer.
A little
I am
trade.
down.
That would go hard. That would be good content for sure.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Ole Miss Denethor.
All right, let's round out Slayer's roster here to wrap up round 3. You got $7 to spend.
$7.
There are no players that
so,
cost
uh,
$7.
So I've really been going back and forth here because I feel like I'm going to sell. I end up being a hypocrite in some fashion. I'm like, oh, let's do some realism, guys. It's Maryville, and then I pick Mask. So it's like, and then I'm like, oh, we're gonna sell the Maryville, the college, like Maryville the college. It's like, I don't think Diamond or Mask really are all about the higher education. So one part of me is like,
What is that supposed to
I feel like they've already Mask is here to play pro. He's not here to go to college. Is what I'm
Diamond's
that
like
does,
30.
yeah.
I think
That's
he
fair.
was-
and Diamond's like 30. Yeah, Diamond's like, yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't think, but correct me if I'm wrong, either of you. I'm going off assumption here. But with that logic, I was like, okay, maybe I should ground myself and snag Levitate, who is still in college, bring him into Maryville, and then I heard the thing about how Winthrop is going to run 11-man roster, something different completely for CeeLo. So at this point, I'm just going to swing for the fences and take Meech and lock him in for
That's
$6
a good
and
choice.
make an
It's a good pick.
absolute
That's a
super
good one.
team.
Yeah,
I
That's
was
what I would
thinking
do.
you would. I was actually thinking you would either do Meech or you would do Array or something.
Yeah, those were
I
the
thought
two.
a raid.
Yeah.
But Meech being left up here, and I also think this isn't as much of a cop out for the thought experiment because we are playing in the world where we all hyping up. Oh my God, qualifiers might be crazy with some really crazy rosters because there's 3 spots to grab, and we already know what Luminosity is going to look like. We already know what Disguise looks like, and I do think realistically, Dragonsteel in their heads are sitting there thinking, we kind of want to try to promote to LTA. We want to be a threat. This is the roster that can, in my mind, have a shot against the current Luminosity and current Disguised rosters. Meech,
Yeah,
Diamond, and Mask coming in.
I'll say it
Yeah.
I could totally see Meech picking up an MU offer right now. I know he
Yeah.
left 100 Thieves a little bit early in the summer, and so I don't know exactly where his head's at in terms of him wanting to fully commit to pro. I feel like this would be a pretty decent balance for a player like that.
No, yeah, Meech is 100% realistic. I could see Clerky hey, you saw what we did with Scary Jerry. Obviously, Meech, kind of left LCS to some other issues. I think grounding yourself in a collegiate environment around somebody like Clerky, that's the best environment for somebody like Meech. Mask,
As far as we
yeah,
know,
you're right.
as far
You're
as we know, he's
swinging out.
probably already doing it. He's
Yeah, you
probably
never
already sending him contracts to just sign or
Yeah, who knows?
Hey,
Hey,
yeah,
yeah.
if
just
I nail this pick,
get here.
that's what I want.
Dude, that's a good shot though. I think Meech would be beautiful on
Yeah.
on Dragonsteel.
It's
Slayer,
pretty realistic
you,
as well.
You do have the wraparound, and you have $1 to spend. So if you want to grab a sub here, a little qual player.
Low
Right here.
jazz.
So you're telling me I could just? Which one of you guys are broke?
You could
Alright, who
you
can I
could screw
cut?
you could screw one of us over right here.
Okay, yeah. Hold on. I could screw grapes.
Wait, you can screw Graves, yeah.
I can screw
Yeah, it's
grapes.
just it's me or Shibby, I guess.
Imagine I just nail. Or I guess
I ju-
maybe TDS down the line, depending on how much money he wants to spend.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm definitely gonna grab somebody that would, maybe come into play on the collegiate roster for all the collegiate games. So a guy who actually would want to attend Maryville. Ooh.
I have an option, by the way, for subs. I already know which one I'm picking because I think I'm going to have leftover money. So if you take it away, I will be surprised, but at the same time, not that much.
Now I'm just looking at guys that that
Just
I
pick,
like.
just
like
you could take a flyer on this guy, and like if he
You
ends
have
up
$1.
doing pretty well,
It's
you can-
okay.
I have a whole well, hey, if I'm taking flyers, I think Quax might know exactly who I could just snag for $1.
Yeah, I know exactly. You should do it. I know exactly who you want to.
You know, you know what? Just for sort of the meme here. Well, he's already on a collegiate team though.
Nobody
that's the
gives
thing.
a
do it,
fuck.
do it, do it, do it.
Yoink
do
him,
it, do it.
yoink him, yoink
Yeah,
him.
just to steal
Just
them.
bring. Let's get Devin in the system. $1 for
knew
Devin.
100%
Let's get
that
it.
Nice.
was him.
There we go.
I'm a huge Devin. I'm a huge Devin fan.
I
love
love
Devin.
Devin.
You know, actually, part of me was thinking that I could grab Devin with my $1 and get a $2 support actually coming in. So I opted against that. I got Lynx instead, but he was definitely on my board. I think Devin's really good.
Yeah,
Not a bad
there were
option.
like 18 other guys that I love in tier 3 that I would have done this with, but I just picked one
Support
because I
tier
didn't
3.
want to sit here for 5 seconds or 55
Support tier
minutes.
3 is looking spicy. I love support tier 3 specifically. There's a lot of cool people there.
Oh yeah.
We
Okay.
skipped Winthrop, so it's me, right?
Technically, it's me
No, wait,
first.
no. We go back
Oh,
to
whoa,
we go back to
whoa,
TDS.
yeah, my bad. Yeah.
So it's me first. So I need to confirm something because, like I said, T2 pretty much screwed me over with what I wanted to do. So I want to confirm this. The value for Luger is the one specified there, right?
He'd be $8. However, you'd have to pay the extra.
Plus the extra. So that's
3.
plus the extra tax, right?
So yeah,
there's
you'd have-
no.
I don't
That's
think you have-
$11.
I don't think you have
Yeah.
the budget for him.
I was
even that
thinking
Luger.
if it was plus, like the 8 was plus the value for Luger here, or
no,
if it
no.
was the extra. Okay. So
It's
I
the
was
extra.
trying to consider that. So in that case, I don't have that much like consideration for top laners. I think I think someone said it, and I agree 100%. Top lane's probably going to be one of the weakest parts to look at in general. So I'm not that worried about top lane. So I think I want to collect a bot lane that would be quite ideal. Luger was my number one pick, obviously, but I think for here, I'll try and take some experience as well to add because I also need to convince Jensen to come here, and I think we need to have an AD carry that can perform and also that can take me over the line when it's needed. And I think that for the amount of time that he's playing and for how much he's done, I think Otter will be working out here greatly.
Oh.
I think
Right.
I think people
Yo.
devalue him because he was
Yeah, that's
replaced
spicy.
technically by B-Boy. But I think Wild Turtle is still a great AD carry. He's not that expensive, and I need to have strong firepower in a place that I need to have strong firepower. And that's
Yeah.
in the NACL. I think this works out.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
you
he
can
played one
convince Jensen.
game for B-Boy or something, or a couple games for B-Boy before he got here at the start of last year, and so that's why
Yeah.
he's listed in the $6 category.
Yeah, but I think he's still a worthy LCS or LTA AD carry, if not like at the very least lower part of the LTA. I think he's good enough to be there because I don't think any other I wouldn't take any other AD carry from any other places. Like I don't think Brazil convinces me enough and I want to put Brazil on the upper part of AD carries. If it's not the upper tier of AD carries from Brazil, I don't want to take anyone realistically from there. So I think this Wild Turtle pick is probably the one that I like the most for AD carry with what's remaining. And it gives me space for my top lane and maybe a couple extra here.
Yeah, I was gonna say you mentioned the Pain Gaming Academy. I don't know if like Marvin is contracted still or not, but like
I was
that guy,
thinking
he
but
stole the
I
Baron
liked
at the end.
so
right, game
I
5.
actually liked for AD carry I liked more the Kid one. If I was taking
okay.
one I would have taken Kid's AD carry more. But I think he's probably also on the team, so I won't attempt anymore right now after what happened with the two.
What I've learned is that it's very hard for the $3 really puts a hamper into help like how the other teams have to draft. So you learned something new here. Okay, so you got $5 left on your last pick, TDS, and we're gonna rotate back around to you. But before we do that, we'll go to Shibby. Last pick for $4. Who you got?
So there's a couple different top laners I wanted to take, but I want money for a substitute. And so I have $4, so I can't take Faisal. I can't take Niles. There's a lot of good top laners at the $3 mark, right? You got Philip, you've got Tenacity, you got a bunch of people, right? I'm not going to go through the whole list. But since I want a substitute player at the $1 tier, my top laner, you let him go, which is kind of crazy, Grapes, but I'm going to take Crimson for my top.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm glad he
Good
got
call.
taken because
And and I think a young core, right, of Crimson and Toasty, like that's a fun team to like put behind, like get behind, right, as in sort of like a fan base. Because like one of my goals was to like also like make sure that like my team is popular, not just from like a winning perspective if we win, but also have like players that you can get behind. And I think like Crimson, Cryo, and Toasty, I think that's a fun like young core. And then you've got Spica and Sajed. Sajed's not super old by any means, but like Spica and Sajed kind of wrangling up the younger guys here. And I think it also kind of completes the formula of like having 2 veteran players with 3 younger guys,
Well,
2 veteran
yeah.
players teaching the younger people how to play.
I think calling Sajed a veteran is very
Yeah.
generous.
Yeah. Yeah,
He was a rookie last
he's
year.
he's in his sophomore year.
Him and
right?
Toasty are have the same level of experience, have the same amount of experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's weird. I wouldn't like call them rookies, but I wouldn't call them. It's tough. It's tough.
I think
for players
overall,
like that.
overall, you got a very young team, and then Spica kind of like holding them all down, in
Yeah.
my opinion. But I think it's a good roster, especially with the money that you had. So
My substitute's gonna go hard, by the way.
okay,
Just wait.
okay. I got $1 to spend on a support, and this is I've been trying to think about this a little bit. I've been even trying to think of supports that are that are not even on the board. But now I hear
I gave you a 6 suggestion before we started recording, man.
that is true. I don't know if I want to.
That would have been a dope.
way,
That's a
though.
dope pickup. I highly endorse that pickup.
I feel like I'm like kind of stealing your pick if I do that though.
I listen. I locked in Rovex, man. The whole reason I brought it up is I want him in the pool.
Okay, so what Gordo brought up was Donbray, who was on wild card last year, or 2 years ago, but did not play this season. However, I don't know how committed he is to playing competitive if he's not going to be in the space, or if he wasn't in the space last year, either in qualifiers or NACL.
Money is a hell of a talker, man. You
Yeah.
got some money.
I got
Some money.
one whole dollar to spend.
That might be one more dollar than he's making, brother. Like you
How
never
come-
know.
How come nobody brought Copy out of retirement, man? What?
Right.
Nah,
Yeah,
that's-
exactly.
Yeah,
Copy
that's
also
too out there. That's
Yeah,
too
bring
out there.
5-Fire out of retirement. He's
I
on
mean-
Ball State right now.
Okay,
Give me
I'm
Blaster.
I'm
I
looking
have-
through.
Yeah.
So
I have some
so-
thoughts with Lynx being your AD carry specifically. I think there are some good picks with his veterancy, personally.
You mean that you think that there's some good $2 supports that I could have gotten, and then a $1?
No. I'm saying like because you have Lynx, who's like that veteran marksman that you kept preaching. He's been around and
Yeah.
for a while. Like there are some like younger by career metrics supports in this $1 pool that I think will work really well with him. Personally.
I think I'm gonna get a little spicy here. I think I'm gonna go off the board for my $1.
Oh!
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
So
They're
I'm thinking,
$1. They would be $1 because they didn't compete, right?
Yeah.
No, $1
Oh.
because they were in the OQs, but we didn't put them on this list.
Ah.
Fair enough. Understandable.
Okay.
There's a lot of
I'm
people
trying
I
to
was
think.
considering. I think out of Rocks 908, I think he's good.
Yeah.
Somebody like Pocus would have been good if I had like maybe a younger bot laner because I know he worked really well with like Sushi last
Yeah.
split. But instead, I'm gonna grab. I don't even know if you guys or like I don't know how much people even know who this guy is, but the support for Misfits, Talbuel. He's gonna be my.
That's
Ooh.
a
support
shout
player.
out.
Wow.
That's a
Um,
shout out.
No idea who that is.
I casted one game of his. I think
This
in-
guy, in
Understandable.
in every game that I've watched of him, like I watched a bunch of their OQ games for Tier 3 tonight, as well as we casted some of their Swiss games in the summer split. This guy is a sick engaged player. I thought like Cozy was doing his thing. I think Ultio was on one of those teams. Bako was on some of those teams,
Ultio.
but Tabula was like he was the most impressive player on this Misfits team for me. And I remember I listed him here, and then we ended up replacing him with some other like maybe more like people who made like top 16. And this would definitely be a flyer, but that's gonna be how I wrap up my team.
This is a pure
That's a-
scouting pick. I respect
Yeah,
it.
that's actually a lot.
That's
Yeah,
but
I
you gotta
actually
do
kinda-
that. You gotta do that. As
I got
CCG,
$1,
like,
yeah.
low-key. Yeah,
So-
you gotta do that.
Some of you guys were saying like there's an obvious person on the board. Who was it for you guys?
Okay. Do you want to go Slayer? Do you want to go clockwise? Slayer, do you want to say your pick?
Yeah, I thought it'd been really cool to stick Miracle or Phantom as younger guys next
Miracle.
to a guy like Lynx. I think
Miracle.
I said Miracle. I was
That's
thinking
fair.
Miracle as
I
well.
was thinking Miracle.
He's
I
good.
was
He's
thinking
good.
Rocks. I was thinking Rocks was the clear.
It was-
I was more
It was either
$1
Tabula or Rocks for me, I think. Yeah.
Miracle was the guy in my head. So I'm glad
Yeah,
like there's
Miracle
3 or
makes
4
sense.
people. Yeah. That's who I thought you were gonna go. That would have been sick. Miracle Lynx would have gone crazy.
I also think it would have been really cool to see as like an experiment, like putting someone like Hiccup next to an AD carry with Lynx. Like that's the
Yep.
perfect like veterancy. Like I
Yeah,
think
the
you
two.
would need if you wanted to bring Hiccup in. I know that'd be like a flyer, and you have she's a very good enchanter player, so that's
Yeah.
like a rough thing to do right now. But like just from like a veteran AD carry would be really good for Hiccup, I think.
We do have some champ pool like issues maybe with this team. Like Yusin, mostly fighters. Samikin, he's expanded his pool, but like has a lot of things like
You got a lot
pocket
of
picks.
damage on your comp.
Yeah,
This is a
I don't
damaged
know if I
CCG
want-
team.
Yeah, someone like
Yeah,
Hiccup.
I
who
would
has
say
the
though,
champ pool
If
is
we
a
had like
little
a
bit
tank jungle,
fair.
tank top meta, you're kind of cooked, man. Or like
But
utility
one
mid.
of the things that the CCG roster does have, because they do have Sami King, is the versatility that like a team like Donkey Getters were able to do, where they were able to play really weird things. I think having Sami King allows you to do that as well, because Sami King is willing, so that would be fun
Yeah.
to see as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the CCG roster.
I-
It's somewhat realistic, but you know what I mean. There's some flyers like you mentioned.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm very happy with where I'm at right now. But let's
We're
finish
90
up this
minutes
draft.
in. Finish the draft.
Let's finish
TDS.
this stuff up, Shibby. Well, first of all, Shibby,
wait.
you got
Shibby has
you got
a
$1
dollar.
on a
Yeah,
sub. if
yeah,
you'd
yeah,
like.
yeah.
He's gonna get his sub. All right.
So I'm getting my sub, and I'm purely picking this person from a branding perspective. They are a very consistent streamer. They've recently got a lot of hype. Slayer, you mentioned her. I'm picking up Hiccup actually.
Oh,
Okay.
because
yeah.
I think
Let's go.
it's such a sly like can you imagine Supernova Hiccup going live? She's already I think she streams pretty consistently. I'm
She
like
does.
followed. Yeah, I have like the Twitch notifications. If Cryo needs some help on the Enchantress, she's a fucking sick, nasty Enchanter player. So like, you know,
Get her in those
I think
scrims too. Get her in the scrims.
I mean, yeah, I think picking her up as a sub, even like almost in a sense of like the same way Cryo sat behind Chime, it'd be kind of sick. I'd be kind of sick to see Hiccup sit behind like a support player like Cryo and just like learn the other side. And yeah, she's fucking streams like almost every day or like
Oh,
at
that's
least
good.
pretty consistently.
She can
That's
be
a
your
branding.
co-streamer.
Dude, you
That's
said
that's a
streamer.
branding.
I thought you
Yeah.
were grabbing Dante's, man.
No,
I
me
really
too.
did.
also thought that. I really thought that as
I
well.
heard streamer for a minute. I got worried.
Nah. She's really consistent. Go check
Yeah.
her out, man. She's really, really consistent.
All right, so that's gonna wrap up Shibby's team. He has now $0 left. I gotta change that. TDS, your final pick, and if you want to grab a sub here as well, I'll power it to you.
So more than likely I'm growing this up because I cannot get an LCS player. And like I have 5, so I cannot get an LCS player, and the remaining top laners will leave me with sub potential. So more than likely growing this up. I need a top laner kind of desperately. And I think for what the team needs, thinking about potential promotion tournament and for what I think in general can be idea, I had 3 options. Thinking about also maybe potentially developing someone or trying to like give them more of a chance. I was between Denethor, Tenacity, and Philip. Funnily enough, going back to Philip, which would have like I could just save him, but I 100% knew that he wasn't going to be taken away, so like I wasn't that scared for him. And looking at the roster and what is possible here, I think I'm taking Philip.
Yeah, I like it.
Love
For
it.
this
I like
roster,
it.
consistent top laner, can play the engaged, can play the tanks, has really nice safe picks, and I don't need a third personality to get between Jensen and Walter. I need someone to be that steady rock that can allow me to carry through. Because I'm thinking, like once again, I'm thinking a team that can go against both Luminosity and that can go against Disguised. I think this team has the power to go against them.
Philip,
the money.
incredible vibes, yeah. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Vibes.
And I have 2 remaining. And for my sub, which I will 100% think that I will be developing, and I think he can even play in some matches, and I think he's going to be a great jungler. I'm taking Bio.
Oh, love it.
Let's
The
go!
Donkey-
I
the
love
Donkey
that.
Getters,
I
Donkey
love
Getters
that.
coming
Bio.
up big at the end. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love this
Yeah.
team. This is a
Ducky
somewhat
subs.
realistic.
Ducky subs.
Yeah.
I think they would be great here, and I think they can learn a thing or two from Shaden, from Jensen, and from Psycho
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Dude, having a player like Bio under a player like Shaden sounds awesome. Like
that-
I actually really like that. Like part of the reason why I'm so excited to see Cryogen next year is because he had a whole season behind being able to learn from Chime. And so I think there's a lot of hype around those subs. I certainly think Bio has the bark for his bite. So I'm excited to see like what that would entail for the future of the program.
So we have our full rosters, right?
Here we are, gamers.
Yeah.
This is it. Oh, I forgot to plug in your top laner, Shibby. Give me a second.
It's okay. It's okay. It's
You gotta let me stick Crimson in here, and there we go. So here's our teams. I think honestly, guys, pretty well done to all of us. I think we have some. I think we have some really good
I like
stuff.
this looks really
Bow?
cool. Like
I'm still watching the bow one. Yeah, like I'm watching everything, and then I see the bow one just sticking out over there.
Wait.
so.
Can we do something real quick? Grapes, I don't know if you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Can we each vote on the roster on our favorite team on our favorite roster? So we can't vote for ourselves, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Do we want to go in like a circle for starting with Slayer?
Could I add something? Because
Yeah.
I think favorite roster and then realism roster, because
Most
we've had
realistic?
some fun and then realism.
Yeah.
I think is the
Most
thing. So
realistic. Okay.
I think
We'll
it'd be
go
fun
with
to do those two.
We'll go with favorite. So you can't vote for yourself. So I guess Slayer, if you need some time. I don't know. What?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I have not been paying attention, right? So
Yeah.
I also don't want to pick my favorite one being the most realistic if we're gonna do that, because
Yeah.
that's like so I think my favorite roster to across the board here is I'm gonna go with Shibby. I'm gonna go with Supernova, because I really love Sajed. I'm a big Sajed guy. I think Crimson was an absolute steal, and then Spica as like the veteran guy, but he's also like that guy's like a kid at heart. He's such a zoomer. Like
He's a
when we used to
vibes.
see him, he's such a
Yeah.
vibes guy. So I really love Supernova as like my favorite one. Realistically, I actually really like where Grapes ended up ending up with Samikin and Lynx, bring back the Blue Otter synergy.
Yeah.
And I also think keeping Cryer was a big thing. So I also want to give him props for the scouting thing, because I didn't even know who that guy was. So I think
well,
like,
I had no idea
definitely
who
a
that
realistic.
player was.
I'm gonna send
Definitely
you guys
realistic.
a clip, and then well, I got a couple of clips of Misfit.
No, I've casted him. He's sick nasty, Graves. You're right. No, the guy's sick nasty.
Yeah, with the budget that CCG would probably have, I think the highest guys they could swing for would be like Samikin, Lynx-esque, and then you're scouting for a support here, and the usual swing. I can't really justify realistic too much with who the hell knows. But outside of that,
we'll see.
Pretty
We'll
realistic,
see.
you know,
We'll
pretty
see.
realistic for CCG. So favorite Supernova realism, I like CCG.
Okay, Gordo. What are
Alright.
your overall thoughts about this?
I think
Also,
my
if you have any thoughts
favorite-
about like your own roster as well, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I talked about my own roster plenty, and I'm not allowed to vote for it anyway. I'm tempted to favorite Supernova, but I cannot give respect to picking Crimson over Faisal or Phillip or Jenkins. Man, I'm sorry. No hate to Crimson, but
Respect.
I
respect
need to
that.
see my boys in this league, and I'm not seeing my boys in this league. So we're missing a few too many of the best top laners in the NACL on this list, in my opinion. I think my favorite's going to be Cincinnati Fear. I like that team, how it's ended up coming together. I like seeing the veterans, Jensen and Wild Turtle, come back now that they can promote into the LTA again. I think Phillip, Shaden, and Zyko are the right set of young talent to be able to support that effort. I think realistic, actually. I think Dragonsteel's super realistic. You got to forget about Mask a little bit, but I think like a Meech Diamond bot lane or something like that. That's almost like what I expect to see, as they probably need to replace Scary Jerry and Zyko. I think they'll be a very attractive landing spot for some of the top talent that may either be trying to secure their post League of Legends future, or just trying to get back on their feet after a rough T1 debut.
I'll take it.
I'll go. Yeah, I'll go. My favorite roster. 100% Quax. I fucking love the bow call out. Okay, no, it's slick because you took advantage of the non-import tax for yourself, and you by far got the best player, I think, in NACL. Like, unironically, Bo would be the best player in NACL when he arrives. Like, he could be jet lagged. He could be fucking like, I don't know, bro. You just get some Heidi Lau hot pot in that man, and it's over, bro. It's done. It's done.
Well,
Okay.
so and my kind of philosophy for wanting to pick a jungler that is more oriented toward playing strong side, because we've seen how Bo looks when he plays weak side. Carmen Corp, whatever, right? I still think he was the best player on that squad, unjustly crucified by the French community, by the way. But like, I am gonna go out there and say that jungle in season 15 is going to be a carry role more than anything else because of the new objective, because of how much neutrals there are on the map. Having a jungler that can actually fight and deal damage around Dragon, Grubs, Herald, and now what's his name, Atikan or something like that, is going to be super important. You put Bow on Graves, and your org is gonna print the fucking money. The money's gonna print money. So
Yeah.
I wanted a guy that could like actually beat the shit out of everybody else. And I certainly think he was that. So I thank you for voting for me. I wasn't sure.
No, that's my favorite roster for sure. Realistic. You know what? Barring the one thing that like obviously wouldn't be realistic, and you could probably swap this guy out with some of the other mids in here. Gordo, I really like your roster, and I think we could easily see Sushi. I think we could easily see Rovex. Music is definitely gonna play, and yeah, I think Push would take an offer from Blue Otter. It's just the Spyrax thing for me. It's a toss up between CCG and Blue Otter for me. Unironically, the two poorest teams have the most realistic rosters. Makes sense. But yeah, I think it's Blue Otter minus the Spyrax kind of breaking the matrix.
Yeah, I could see Gordo having gone like just two like solid NACL top solo laners instead of going for one of the all pros as well. Like there's some good mid laners in there as well. And I know you, Gordo, were talking about those top laners that you wish you'd gotten at the end, but
Yeah, I can see. In hindsight, I think I would like to see like Bradley and then like Jenkins here. Like I think that team is stronger probably.
Oh
but
yeah, that team slaps.
I also think they more than likely, like if this was real life, I think they stick with Samikin and they can take Jenkins. So it probably would have looked like with just Samikin here instead.
I think in real life we're not getting anybody. In real life we're getting
no, say it isn't
ripped
so.
to the bone. But
It's
Quax.
okay. Bully's fine with that, I think.
Yeah. All right, so I would say this is tough because I actually I think every roster here is super cool. Like if this was actually reality, NACL, I would never ever skip a day. Like this would be super fun to watch.
Agreed.
I would say like, man, favorite roster, that's tough. I probably give my favorite roster over to CCG, actually. Like I like the Yushin pickup. Kind of wish I got him.
I know you like that one, yeah.
But like realistically, this guy is one of the biggest wild cards I think we have in the current NA ecosystem. Period. Right? Like how this guy would perform against the other top laners on this list: Crimson, Stray, Philip, Porsche, Zamuda. Well established. You've got like well established top laners who have like been in the tier 3 scene, been in the tier 2 scene, and then you have got this just complete and total X factor, which I think is super cool. And then I think Kryra around Samikin and Yushin is cool. I think Link's going with another kind of wild card, and Dalbuel, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, something like that.
Is another kind of wild card. I just kind of like the mystery about how this team would do, because I do think when we look at like the floor and the ceiling, it's a lot more established for these other organizations, whereas this one, they could be fucking anywhere, and I think that is super exciting.
Yeah, I can see a world where I don't hit my goal of not promoting, but we'll see. We'll see what the other rosters look like.
I could see you hitting your goal of not promoting, but then I could see you legitimately hitting your goal of like potentially top 4. Like if Yushin is as good as everyone claims him to be, and I only started casting like tier 3 stuff. I never actually got to cover him, I don't think. So like he was like before my time.
He was a couple weeks before your time, I believe.
I think a couple.
I think you literally hopped in as soon as he got banned.
Yeah, as soon as Morningstar White got banned, I was like, all right, now I'm invested.
Yeah.
like this, just like you could simultaneously bomb the fuck out, but then you could make top 4, top 3, and everybody would love your org for it because you took a chance on players like WL and Yushin who nobody else probably would, right? So that to me earns my respect and is probably my favorite team. As for the most realistic, I am going to have to agree with Shibby on this. I do think Blue Otter definitely takes the cake for realism. Spirax is a little out there, but like realistically, I actually think they're going to try. I think they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep Samikin. So I think if you put Samikin on this roster, you have got a realistic one. But we obviously weren't allowed to keep 3. I think that is probably like a roster I could totally see going in next year to the NACL. So,
All right, TDS, what are your thoughts?
So I think for my favorite one, looking more into Blue Otter. I think the Blue Otter roster looks quite interesting. Like I like the idea of how the players would mix up. Like having Sushi, Robux, Spyrex, Music, and Porsche together would be really fun to see. And I think this roster, if it was like just based on favoritism, I think the roster has a lot of potential to be more than just a wildcard. Like I think they could be contesting, surprisingly for a lot of people. And then in terms of the more realistic, I think actually Supernova one is not the big out of nowhere sort of team. Like yes, Spica looks weird, but I think you can technically argue the same for the Blue Otter one with Spyrex. Like I feel like those two are enough of a wildcard that you can kind of look past them a little bit, and then looking at the rest of the roster, it's perfectly. I think this is a perfectly fine or perfectly realistic roster for Supernova, and I even think Spica could perfectly look into it. Like he can just sit back, try and relax for a split, take a step back, like Centurion did once upon a time, I remember, and then try and go back to the LTA if he performs great here. Like that has happened before, so I wouldn't put it past Spica to maybe try something similar. And the Supernova roster, if it was realistic, I could look into that as well.
Yeah, I think overall my favorite ideas were some of the stuff that Quax was cooking up there with Winthrop. I think if you went to if you got Tony Top and just completed the Chinese speaking top jungle support,
I would have, but you stole it from me.
Tony Top was available too. He could
yes, but like again, I feel like a ton of people would have been like, holy shit, Winthrop actually cares about players that aren't getting like chances or who are being like completely shit on. Like that to me would have been like a good graces pickup as much as it would have been like a legitimate contender amongst the top laners.
I would have had decent options if you ended up getting Yushin as well. I mean, I might have just stuck with Crimson if that was the case, but yeah, I think that's a really creative one. I think overall Supernova is probably my favorite though. Just because of the youth. This is something that I feel like this is a team that like we dream of like getting picked up, but then in reality we might just see more of like the veterans end up happening there. In terms of most realistic, I think Fear honestly is a very realistic thing of what I could see them.
Really?
They have the money. I believe like we're expecting them to be able to spend this offseason. And these are all players that they probably would want to get people who are in tier 1, things like that. We'll see like how much Jensen really wants to stick around and play and how much Wild Turtle wants to stick around and play, but if they're down to play, I think I would 100% see them coming to a team like Fear. And this is definitely a team that would be top of the table, immediately competing with Luminosity for a championship.
Could have been the Fear Liao if I had that too. I'll die on the hill, but okay.
All right. The last thing I want to do really quickly, because I know we're running pretty long, is I want to look at all the free agents and just so people understand how many players are still available and how crazy this OQ like February, January tournament is going to be. Because look at all the people that did not get picked up in this simulation and aren't on Luminosity. Like there's going to be a lot of people that can come together and make some pretty banger teams.
Yeah.
Good point.
Like, in particular, like I think like if we're looking at like OQ teams, like I could totally see like Dr. Calculus and like Robbie Bob and like Shogo or not Shogo, like players like Enthralled, right? Or like Levitate is for some reason not picked up. Like, there are so many. Like,
Yeah.
I would say there's at least 3 players in every position from like $3 down who could realistically make the lists that we made. So like,
I mean,
there are players that should have been on these rosters.
well, one of our simulations was actually, or if before Hawk said he couldn't make it today, what we were going to do is have him be an OQ team that jumped in later into the draft but had more money than both Gordo and myself. And just looking at that real quickly, like if you could grab like a
So many NACL.
yeah,
players.
you could get
Yeah.
you could do Tenacity,
Quacker.
Yukino, Shochi, Mobility, and like Breezy, and that's $15. Like that's like a team that I could absolutely see like kind of in here. But
Dude, you could
Yeah.
build a whole banger team that's just snubbed top laners. You could
yeah, send
Yeah.
Jenkins to shady carry.
like just get.
Well, the thing is, Hawk would have picked Denethor, and that's it. That's his only
well, you
top
got like
player.
yeah, go like
Yeah.
Denethor, Quacker, Tenacity, Faisal, and I'm definitely forgetting somebody good.
Jenkins.
Jenkins, thank you. Yeah,
That's just
that
your
whole
team.
team. You just gotta get some role swaps
Call
going.
it top. Call it
We
top
already know
esports.
Tenacity can play AD carry.
That is true. He did.
Oh
He
my
did play
God.
for like what, one game or something like that. Oh,
I think
No,
it was
man, don't
2.
even remind me of that shit.
All right. Well, thank you very much for everybody for tuning in. Thank you very much to Slayer, Gordo, Shibby, Quax, TDS. Make sure to follow all of their stuff. We'll send full links to everybody's socials as well as all of the YouTube channels that if you are big fans of the LTA or the NACL, all these guys making some awesome content as well. Thank you very much for everybody for tuning in. If you think it's crazy to see Bo in the NACL for 2025, remember you could take what we say here with a grain of salt. We'll see you all next time in our next episode of Salty Runback. We'll see you all.